Well, I promised him to you, and here he is, Tommy. Good to see you.
Ron, good to see
Always
you.
good to see you. And we
Ron,
were musing there, it's 40 years since the time I did the first ever interview with the Sands family prior to a trip to Germany, and away you were going.
To East Germany.
East Germany in those days.
Yes, yes.
Somebody once said that what brought it wasn't politics that brought down the Berlin Wall as much as it was the American television coming in, the soap opera, and whatever was going on, that the East Germans felt, wow, we're going to go for this or whatever. But
Yes.
there were iconic times there when people hacked the wall to bits, goodness gracious, with hammers.
It was a very interesting time, very experimental time, inspiring time, complex time.
What drew, and East Germany was your great place, among others, but what drew the Sands family to East Germany?
Well, we started out by going to the United States. We played there we won a competition in Dublin, and it was sort of an all-Ireland ballad competition, and the winners were to go to America. We were working up the hay when the word came round, a talent competition down in Dublin town. Bards aplenty were on their way, and the winners would be going to America.
Hey, lovely.
Well, I looked at Ben and he looked at me. Colin, he says, will we go, says he. Anne and Dino give a smile. It is time to be leaving the farm behind. That's
lovely. That's lovely.
It says it all. Together about it.
Yeah.
So we played in New York. We played in Carnegie Hall that time, and then we went up to Boston played in nightclubs and learned the trade, I suppose, in the sense that you'd be up on the stage playing. There's kind of a nightclub, and if anyone left, the manager would come along and say, "People left, 2 tables left. Why?"
Wow.
So maybe they were going home. The babysitter was going home early, about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely.
But no, you had to learn how to hold an audience.
Yeah. Very American.
Yes.
Very
So
American.
we met a man there called Hamish Imlach, he would have been a forerunner of Billy Connolly in many ways.
Wow.
Comedian, singer. Billy was a folk singer too, of course. Billy was there too. But Hamish was a great man for the drink. Fond of the drink. It's a great expression, that, isn't it?
Fond of the drink.
Fond of the drink.
He liked the sup.
He liked the sup. But he woke up one morning, he was shaking. And I said, Hamish, you're shaking. He says, it's the only exercise I get. But he introduces to a man called Willy Schwenken, who had an agency. He brought over the Dubliners, brought over the Dubliners to Germany. He lived in Nottuln outside Münster in Germany. He brought us over there, and then because of the troubles here and everything that was happening, East Germans were looking to find out what was going on beyond what they would see in the news. They wanted to hear what folk singers were singing about. So they invited us over to East Germany, and that was when you come down the lane, down the Rhine Road, and asked us about that.
About your travelling. And was Willy Schwenken, or whatever it's called, was he the man who, on the fateful day, made the telephone call that told you that Dino had gone?
Yes.
He was the man.
It was Willy Schwenken. We were playing in Hamburg and in West Germany, of course, and after the concert, we had one free day. The next concert is done in Osnabrück or somewhere, and Dino decided to go that night with his girlfriend, and we got up the next morning, and we were wakened up too early. We knew there was something wrong, and told us, the first thing he said was, something very bad happened to your family last night.
You thought of Ireland immediately, maybe?
I did. I did. And I also thought, did we do something at the concert that wasn't right? But then he said it very suddenly and very slowly as well, because it takes a long time for it to dawn on you that he was dead. And
the road traffic accident.
That's right. So,
and as far as it's possible to be grateful for anything in a situation like that, one would be grateful for the extreme probability that it was very quick.
Yes, that's true. You're always searching for something to make it easier. You know, I'll sing a bit of a song, Ron, that I haven't sung about trying to deal with that. It took me years and years to write a song about Dino. And I think one of the things, you know, that saved us in many ways was the wake, you know.
On the Ryan Road.
Yes. You know, I think through music and through our own local rituals, we've got ways of dealing with all situations. You know, in the music you've got the laments, which are not meant to make you sad, but meant to take the sadness out of you, to leave space for the dance of life to return. And the wake at home, all the neighbours were there, everyone coming, trying to think of something to say that might make you feel a bit better. And if we can remember this and run. The moment of truth, it lies freezing forever, deep in the heart, like a stone in the soul. The news had come round, and it told of your leaving. Seems just a few days ago. Your friends crowding round filled the hallway and garden, searching for words to console, to explain, shaking their hands, sorry for our troubles, and each had a kind word to say. You'll never grow old, but you'll always be growing in our hearts, in our minds, in the home you left behind. You'll never know pain, nor the anguish of aging. You'll always be young and beautiful. It's a little bit of it.
It's a song that you could put in a tin and give to everyone who has is coming through a similar circumstance.
Yes, exactly, Ron. And I've sung the song at wakes since, and people, I suppose, when something like that hits you, when someone dies very close to you, their words don't work very well.
No.
They attempt to, but I think words in the wings of a song are can soar higher and reach deeper inside to console.
You, at that time, you had the task then of contacting home and passing the telephone message that you got about Dino's death back to Mayo Bridge. How did you do that, and who did it?
Actually, I think Billy Swankin rang the parish priests, and the parish priest came up, and he didn't come to our own house. He went to my cousin Petesy in the Hill, as we call him, and Peter came down and told my father, and I didn't really believe it until we got home. They didn't want to believe it. They thought it was maybe some strange dream or nightmare, you know.
Your mum and dad were, of course, of old stock.
Yes.
Sturdy stock.
That's right.
It didn't destroy them.
No. I mean, it was, I suppose, it was a terrible loss, but they took it, I suppose, philosophically in a way too, you know. And of course, they both had great faith as well. So he was going to a better place and so on. And,
the philosophy of those of the land, of the farming class, which your folk were, it brings them close to the death of the seed and the new life that will spring.
That's true.
And it's never the end as far as farming people would be concerned.
No, It's that circle and cycle of life, and certainly that is a consoling factor somewhere deep within that can be called upon. It doesn't stop the suffering, of course.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
It does.
It just puts it in the wider context.
Exactly.
And it's that contextualization of the tragedy that makes it bearable.
That's right. That's right. And neighbours, of course.
Neighbours, for goodness sake.
You know, they say that time cures, but time is never there when you need it, but the neighbours are.
The neighbours are there.
And sandwiches are made. And
sandwiches are made, and there's that goodness. We've come a long road. It's 40 years down the track, down the laneway since then. 40 years. And those were great days of aspiration and dreaming and all the rest of it. And many of our dreams we have fulfilled, many of them. Do you sense now that ever so cunningly time is slipping away and you're coming to a more peaceful grazing land, if you like, of your life and career?
Yes, I do. I just left downtown radio there during the week.
Yes, of course you did.
And it was, and in doing that, I felt in a way well, I didn't like leaving the place in a way, but I felt the station was going in a different direction. Commercial radio, as you know, it's more interested in, by its nature, in making money than in keeping in touch with the locality, and I think local radio should be for local people.
I knew, I have to say, when I ended my relationship with commercial radio in Newry, I knew I had to go when they wanted me to be more fluffy, and also to play more Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
So it wasn't me. You cannot reinvent yourself to the whim of a commercial dictator.
Exactly. You know, and the thing is, Rowan, big radio buyover is happening, and so many of these local stations now have been owned by a conglomerate who want all the music the same.
Oh yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
I remember the famous saying from the commercial radio I left, Heinz make beans. Heinz are successful. You've got to be a bean. That's where it is. You must be the same. Everyone must be the same. It's what you're saying.
Yes.
That's where it all rests.
That's where you can make money that way. But
yeah.
I think, you know, I think big business radio has pulling the strings from afar. You know.
Yeah.
Knock out of tune the local the connection with the locality.
And in that quest for modernity and money, a lot is lost. A lot of the soul of a place is lost. Like, I mean, at the ending, there will never again in the history of downtown radio be another Tommy Sands era, Tommy Sands program. That's gone. All of the gentleness, all of the love, all of the musicality, gone.
Unfortunately, I think, and I hope that they will bring someone in to take my place, but they probably won't.
No, why would they?
Yeah, that's right.
Of course
because
they won't.
it's not complying with the this very a certain type of music. I mean, people here are different from people in New York or London.
Of course.
Yet they've been told to listen to the same music.
No.
But I think the program, I enjoyed it very much because it extended the session around the fire at home. And I remember back in the 79 or so, it was a bad year. A lot of people had been killed. And I remember I got all the leaders together. You would remember this, Rowan. Paisley and O'Fee, Cardinal O'Fee. And I remember asking Paisley, will you do this program? And he says, who else is on this program? And I says, well, Cardinal O'Fee is on it for one. I will not do this program.
Really? He was that forthright?
Oh, he was. So anyway, he says, but come up to the manse and I'll do it separately.
An interview.
So I went up I remember it very well, and as you know, as a Catholic growing up in this area, Paisley filled the screen, you'd be kind of scared of the man. And I remember going up to the house, and there's a young lad under a car, and he pulled himself from under it. He must have been fixing the exhaust or something. And he says, what do you want? I says, I'm looking for Ian Paisley. He says, I'm Ian Paisley.
That was the young fella.
The young fella.
Who's now the MP up in Ballymena.
Yes. And he says, go on in there. My mother's in. I don't think my father's home yet. So I knocked the door, and Eileen Paisley came to the door, and she says, go in there and sit down and wait a while. So I sat down, waited a while, and then I heard a car pulling up outside. And suddenly the door opened. It was Eileen. She says, he's coming. The next thing I heard these steps going down the corridor. The door opened, and one of the biggest men I'd ever seen in my life was standing there. And I said, I don't want to talk about religion or politics. I want you to tell me a joke or sing me a song. So he shifted into entertainment gear. And he says, who else do you have? I says, I've got Jerry Fitt. Jerry Fitt was going to play the harmonica.
He would have been okay with it, was he?
It kind of a love-hate thing.
Yeah. So he wasn't. I thought he might have been, but no.
Yes. Yeah. But he says, yes, Fitt plays the mouth organ. He says, and he plays it on my constituency. He says, that's why everybody votes for me. But he says, as you know, he says, I'm an unconverted jailbird.
Wow.
And the first time I went to prison, the prison doctor examined me from head to toe, and he says, you're Fitt. And I says, no, I'm Paisley. So anyway, he told me a few yarns, and I got them on the tape recorder and headed down to Armagh, to Cardinal O'Fee.
Yeah.
And the Cardinal says, there's a bottle of brandy, give me a drop of brandy. It's a cold winter's night.
Yes.
He says, tell me, he says, what's Paisley like? And I realised then
that was the width of the chasm.
Exactly.
That a leader of the Catholic Church in Ireland had to ask, what's Paisley like?
Yes. And you, as a journalist, would have you'd have known this very well. You're moving between people who don't necessarily know each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And like the role of the bard in the ancient Irish tradition was...
You were fulfilling that role.
Well, in a sense it was, because you're wearing a coat of many colours, the colours of all the tribes, but under the thumb of none. Yeah. So you could bring positive messages between them, you know. So he says, what is he like? And I says, well, he told me jokes. Tell me a few. So I told him that one.
Aye.
He says, well, he can't be too bad if he can tell a joke. And during that visit, actually, Rowan, I realised that Paisley was such a powerful character. Whatever way he turned, he could turn people with him, you know?
Yeah.
In those days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I almost, if you can understand this, would have been happier if he had gone into the twilight believing he was right in his bad days, believing he was right. But he changed tune to the extent that almost makes me believe he was not the genuine article then. This is coming out in the documentary where he said it was wrong to discriminate against Catholics. It was wrong what happened on Bloody Sunday. I remember the venom with which he spoke in support of those things in his heyday. And just saddens me that the greatness turns out not to be greatness, that it is tarnished in some way by the change, by the volte-face.
There's certainly a lot of inconsistencies there. Inconsistencies that wouldn't have seemed possible in those early days.
But what digs deep, viscerally into me, almost, is the knowledge that he, because of the power that you spoke about, that Ian Paisley, because of the strength of personality, because of the physicality, took people with him and maybe turned weak people in a direction that would lead to awfulness. And that's a sadness.
Yes, I think there's a great chance lost when you've got such a powerful figure. I think anybody that gets onto any platform is a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
Be it a television program, a radio program, that can actually be in a position to influence people.
what you have done in your life, musically and in your songwriting, you have influenced people. But it's been an influence for gentleness, for Nirvana, for Elysium Fields, for everything that's beautiful. And that's been a huge, that was singled out by the great hairy-headed God, away at the beginning of all time, that there would be this sort of physical imitation of himself who would be there on earth planting wee seeds of gentleness among a troubled people. That's what you've done in your life so far.
Well, I think, Rowan, probably it's little I've done, but at least I think the whole idea of religion is, or of Godfulness, is within everybody, and it's, you meet people every day, you can see it shining out of their eyes. They would never even pronounce the word, but I think maybe the old Celtic, for the want of a better name, the Celtic sense of spirituality was very important. And
no religion,
but
lots of spirituality.
Yeah.
That was the Celts.
Yes.
It's the same as the African people.
Yes.
They would have worshipped the third branch up on the tree. They would have worshipped the sun, the moon, the stars. No religion as such, but happy people they were, and easy people they were. And funny enough, I dipped in ever so briefly into the Alpha course that Kingsley was organising last Thursday night in Tesco, this basic Christianity thing. And he put a word on the board. It was very interesting. God, he said, now what comes to people's minds if God? Well, I had two responses. My first response was good, and my second response was war criminal. Mm-hmm. And I think each appellation is demonstrable. You can prove it. And then he put the word religion on the board. People said control, authority, loss of independence, all of that. So it bears out what we're saying about spirituality soaring to the heights, religion pulling us into the depths.
Well,
perhaps.
exactly.
Everything, it's not a...
I think that when you look at the early shape that was put on the church, you had, the two of the big exponents or philosophers within the theology, if you like, of the church was Augustine, the Roman, and Pelagius, the Celt. And Augustine, coming from the Roman background, the idea of empire, the idea that power comes from up there. Pelagius coming from a Celtic situation where that wasn't the case. God wasn't up there. God was in the wind, in the rain, inside ourselves, everywhere. And it was, 'cause Ireland was never Romanized, so I think below all our sense of religion is something from another place. Going to the same place, of course, but because I think we've just got different names for God.
Absolutely,
don't we?
absolutely.
Yahweh or
Allah. One of your early songs, renowned throughout the world, makes a powerful statement about religion and what can happen to a man who's regarded as being one. There were roses.
Ah, yes.
That was a huge song.
It was. And again, Ron, I suppose it's because I've sung that song in the Middle East and God knows everywhere. And it's because people can identify with that, how people can get divided up into little groups with different colours, religions, nations, and persuaded they're different human beings. And, I was over at a conference, may I mention this to you, Ron, in Indiana just a few months ago. And it is a conference that gathered together musicians and poets and scientists. Actually, it was organised by John Paul Lederach, who's written several books on peace building and will be coming to Ireland.
A certain Catholic provenance with a John Paul in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Like half the babies in Ireland.
That's right. He's actually Mennonite. He comes from that that Mennonite tradition. But the John Paul, yes, indeed. But we musicians, there were 12 of us, And we were singing songs, talking about the value of music and so on, and acts of art. And the scientists were measuring the changes that took place biologically in the brain during such a performance.
Wow.
It's fascinating. It's the first time it's ever been done. I mean, we all know in a soft science sort of way that music and art has an effect on people, but it's never measured in a hard science way that you could come up and say this, you know, and these molecules, oxytocin is released in the brain, which gives a sense of betterment and a sense of security. Now, the interesting thing, Rowan, about it was that if you hear a song that gives you security, you feel better. But if there's too much of this oxytocin released, it makes you feel more secure, but it makes you feel mistrustful of the people outside of that community. So, in fact, while Haas and all these people are over here at the moment, or were over here, one thing they didn't take into account was the effect of music. Now, if you keep orange marches going up that road, green marches coming down this road, scientifically, it's impossible to create a shared future. This is what science now is saying. And that is one of the things that come out of that conference. So I think, whereas the music is very important to us all, but it can be like a fist. You can use it like a fist or a hand to shake.
Absolutely. It's the Obama talking about the outstretched hand to the other world, and
Yes.
and eventually reaching out the hand at the funeral of Nelson Mandela to Cuba. And that was a great moment.
Absolutely.
What will you play for me now, sir?
Let me see.
As he reaches quietly, purposefully for the guitar.
Well, actually, since we're talking about religion, and since we've a new pope on the job,
Wow, yes.
who's
He's a farmer.
Who's getting back to a lot of things that certainly would attract my sense of belief. Come listen, gentle Christians and good Jews and Gentiles too, and all denominations, a song I'll sing to you. It's all about a young man, a rebel true and true, down among the bushes of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. Upon his parents and below a shining star, the word went round the country and they came from near and far. The royal family worried he might undermine their power, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. They slaughtered all the children, everyone that they could find, just that they'd be certain they would kill the rebel child. But somehow he deceived them all, the soldiers fierce and wild, down among the bushes of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. He grew into a strapping lad and helped around the home, but voices they were calling and he was inclined to roam. The losers and the boozers he would count among his own, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. As far as I can see, you see, the Pharisee did say, you know your Bible fairly well, you'll make a priest someday, but you better toe the line, me boy, or there'll be hell to pay, down among the bushes of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. He met with Mary Magdalene, a lovely girl was she. Oh, look what's coming now, they said, the girl of no degree. I'd rather have her near me than your hypocrisy, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. He went into the churches and he saw the shining gold, and people there were starving with the hunger and the cold. He He talked about injustice, just be careful, he was told. Down among the bushes of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, down among the bushes of Jerusalem. Well, if you are a rebel, then young Judas he did say, come burn the Roman Empire down, we'll change the flag today. It's the human heart I'm changing, this young rebel he did say. Down among the bushes of Jerusalem, they're taking him to Calvary. It's easier, you see, than trying to turn another cheek and love your enemy. Are we loyal to our own crowd, to our scribes and Pharisees? Down among the bushes of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, down among the bushes of Jerusalem, Jerusalem.
Superb. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Thank you.
Great stuff, Tommy. I know, you play the guitar, your eyes are closed, your fingers are moving. You don't have to look at where they go.
No.
It's kind of like, you know where your next footstep in life is going to be. You put your foot down without looking where you're going to put it down. You know naturally. And you fetched up from the Ryan Road, you fetched up in Rostrevor. Beautiful, beautiful house there. But perfectly positioned from is it feng shui?
Yes,
where you should be, between the hills behind you,
yes,
and the water in front of you.
that sense of in-betweenness.
Yeah, it's a perfect positioning. Has it brought a great peace to your life? And it's a place that was a natural successor to the home on the Ryan Road that you grew up in.
Yes, I think so. It's a beautiful place. Rostrevor is a lovely place too. It's small, it's quiet, and people respect you in the sense that they don't bother you or anything like that. It's lovely. The countryside is lovely. Narny
It's not a bad
place. That C.S. Lewis used to stay in the Great Northern there.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably different in the sense that I'm married to a French woman who brings in a different sense of culture and cuisine and feeling, but it's very complimentary in a way, and it's great. And Colm is married to a German girl, so
next door to you.
That's right.
In the same courtyard. You share the courtyard.
That's right.
Yeah, it's huge. I remember going down to you. I was made very, very welcome when we did the nationwide program on the Sands
Yes,
family.
indeed. I
was great
enjoyed that
fun.
very much.
That was great fun indeed.
Yes.
Well, we've come to the end of our chat. I hope it's not going to be the last time that we chat here on this program, because we haven't even scratched the beginnings of it.
That's right. Well, Ron, it's lovely to come in here. It's and it's like coming in, sitting down around the fire.
Okay. Could be no other way with Tommy Sands, I tell you. Goodness sake, without a doubt. And any immediate plans for touring?
Well, I'm doing some radio stuff now. RTE are interested in doing some radio music programs. I'm going to the Caribbean next week for there's a folk festival starting out in Florida to Jamaica and various places. So that's for 10 days, and then I'm heading to Denmark.
Busy.
Yes, and then the Sands family are going to Germany, doing a German tour with the Sands family.
Yeah.
So it's always great meeting up with Colin, Ben, and Anne again.
Yeah, of course it is. Great people. Well, we'll bid the people farewell, shall we? And wish them well. And I'll let you say your farewells first to them.
Well, thank you very much for looking into the corner. You'd never know what you would see looking out of a corner, maybe apart from a rat in a trap. But it's great. It's great to be here, and great to meet up with Rowan, an old friend, total professional. He makes us all feel at ease, both out there and in here. Thank you very much. Thanks.
And thanks to Tommy for coming in. It's like speaking to a family member, because I can remember as though it were yesterday, Tommy's mummy and daddy standing out on the street outside the front door of their family cottage home out there at the bottom of the lane, or the top of the lane maybe, on the Ryan Road. And it formed so much of what the folk became. Great provenance, good people, farming people. And you know, whether it's in Ireland or across where I go in Africa, into the bush, farming people are all the same. They really, really are. And they will tell you across the River Niger They never worry. There's never any suicide. There's never any depression. And the wise men and women among them will say to you, when you've done your best and can do no more, just lay your head on your hand and leave the rest to the God of your believing. Good advice, I think. Very, very good advice. So you guys go well.
Thank you, Ron.
And God bless you, and be happy, and namaste. Take care.
Thank you.